If there is something that should concern every student, parent, and educator in Tamil Nadu, it is this. 12 of the state's public universities are currently without vice chancellors. Yes, you heard that right. 12. These include the iconic University of Madras and the Anna University. And some of them have been leaderless for more than 2 years. That means no academic direction, no administrative leadership, and no one to represent the university's interests at the highest levels. The question is, why can't Tamil Nadu fill these positions? What exactly is going on? Let's unpack this. Vanakkam, this is T. Suresh Kumar. Thank you for joining me in this episode of the Hindu Focus Tamil Nadu. In any university, the Vice Chancellor is the single most important position. They are the academic and administrative head, the one who ensures the university runs efficiently, maintains academic standards, coordinates research, and oversees affiliated colleges. Without a vice chancellor, universities don't just slow down, they almost stall. So, how did Tamil Nadu end up with 12 headless institutions? On your screen, you can see the names of these universities. So it all comes down to a prolonged power struggle that existed between Governor R. N. Ravi and the Tamil Nadu government. Now, here's the background to this. Vice chancellors are appointed through a search committee that recommends three names, and the governor, in his capacity as the chancellor of the university, traditionally picks one from the list. But over the last 2 to 3 years, this process has hit a deadlock. Why? Because Governor Ravi insisted that the university grants commissions regulations of 2018 must be followed, especially the clause that says that one search committee member must be a nominee of the UGC. Now, the state government disagreed with this. It argued that Tamil Nadu has not adopted that particular UGC regulation and therefore it does not apply to it. According to the government, the process should be guided by the state legislation and not central rules. At one point, things escalated. The governor even unilaterally formed search committees for some of the universities, but later he withdrew his order. The government, on the other hand, passed multiple bills in the assembly aiming to transfer the power of appointing vice chancellors from the governor to the state itself. And that is where another standoff began. The governor indefinitely withheld a decision on these bills. When the Tamil Nadu government moved to the Supreme Court challenging the delay, the governor referred two of these bills for the consideration of the President of India and withheld assent to as many as 10 bills and returned them to the House. The Tamil Nadu Assembly in turn readopted these 10 bills and sent them back to the governor. Now, as per the constitutional provisions, once a bill is readopted by a House, the governor is obliged to grant assent. But that did not happen. The governor instead sent these bills to the President of India. In April this year, the Supreme Court intervened. In a landmark judgment, it ruled that the governor's actions were unconstitutional. The court declared that assent was deemed to have been granted and Tamil Nadu could now implement these laws. That was when it looked like the stalemate was finally over. The government quickly notified these acts in the Gazette and began setting up search committees for the vacant vice chancellor posts. But then there was another roadblock. An advocate challenged the Gazette notification in the Madras High Court, and last month a vacation bench issued an interim stay on the implementation of the laws, once again halting the appointments of vice chancellors. The court held that the UGC regulations take precedence over state laws under what's called the doctrine of repugnancy, which says that when state and central laws conflict, then the central law prevails. So now we are back to square one. The Tamil Nadu government has now challenged the stay order in the Supreme Court, arguing the High Court misunderstood the law. And here is why. Number one, there is no central law that specifically governs the appointment of vice chancellors. The UGC Act does not even mention the post of vice chancellor explicitly. Number two, the UGC regulations are not binding on states unless they have been adopted. Now, Tamil Nadu never accepted Regulation 7.3, which is at the heart of the current dispute. Point number 3, in the Kalyani Madhivanan case, that is a person who was appointed as the Madurai Kamaraj University Vice Chancellor, the Supreme Court held that states can legislate on university matters and UGC rules cannot override that, especially when Vice Chancellors are not even teaching staff but they are administrative officers. Point number 4, the government pointed out that Tamil Nadu does not receive any grant and aid from the UGC, so there is no funding condition that makes the regulations compulsory. Point number 5, the government has said that in the 2023 Puducherry Technological University case, the Supreme Court had stayed a Madras High Court order that made compliance with UGC Regulation 7.3 mandatory. Now, that case is still pending before the Apex Court. So, in short, the Tamil Nadu government's argument has been this: we have followed our laws, we have passed the bills legally, and the Supreme Court has already ruled in our favor once. The High Court stay order is based on a misreading of both facts and law. So, where does that leave us? Right now, all these universities continue to function without vice chancellors. They are managed by 3-member committees. Most of them have been made up of IAS officers and other officials who are juggling multiple roles in government. This is certainly not ideal, not by a long shot. Now, university administration requires a dedicated leadership. It can't be an additional file on the bureaucrat's desk in Chennai when the campus they are supposed to manage is located hundreds of kilometers away. And here is the bigger issue: a university without a leader is like a ship without a captain. It might float, no doubt, but it's not going anywhere. The Supreme Court will now decide whether the Tamil Nadu government has the authority to appoint vice chancellors under the laws it had passed, or whether UGC's regulations of 2018 will continue to apply despite Tamil Nadu not formally adopting them in its university statutes. Until then, the academic future of thousands hangs in balance. Let's hope for a quick, clear, and fair resolution, because education, above all else, deserves certainty and direction. On that note, this is D. Suresh Kumar signing off. I shall meet you in another video. Thank you.